Welcome to Uplink, where we explore the world of digital infrastructure, uncovering the technology fueling AI and cloud innovation with the leaders making it happen. I'm your host, Michael Reid, and my guest today is Julien Gauthier, CEO at Arkane Cloud. Julien offers the perspective of a specialized cloud provider, and we'll discuss how they innovate to deliver high-performance, secure infrastructure that modern applications demand. GPU as a service in France. Let's dive in. Welcome to Uplink. This is a podcast that we bring to the world. We cover all sorts of things, and it's really exciting to have you here because AI, GPU as a service, it's really hot at the moment. So welcome. You're the CEO and founder.
Absolutely.
So why don't you just quickly open, how on earth did you start this company? What's happening? Give us some perspectives. I'm really curious on how things are playing out from this AI space, what you're servicing, what's growing, what's happening that you didn't expect. So let's just chat through it. So give me a little bit about your company.
Yeah, sure. Everything began in 2020.
2020,
Absolutely.
Pandemic, when everything should begin.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I decided to build a few servers for customers because I resell on Amazon few components because I'm passionate in technology in general.
So you're selling some compute in 2020 during COVID to some customers?
Absolutely.
And
because
so you thought,
everyone wanted to be on streaming, be on crypto as well.
Yes.
And I saw a good opportunity to do that.
Okay.
So we were a GPU cloud provider at the beginning. So we did
in 2020.
Yeah.
Before AI.
Absolutely, because we did cloud gaming, HPC, 3D rendering, and more and more AI because it's booming in 2023, 2024 with a release of ChatGPT. So it was a good way to go more and more on this area.
Yes.
So we got at the moment, I don't know, something between 80 to 90% of our demand for AI rather than HPC or 3D rendering, what we got at the beginning.
Okay, so you started with the 3D rendering, which was more around gaming, and that's NVIDIA as well, is it? Or
Yeah, more or less, because we decide to aggregate compute for 3D rendering, like you can do CAO, so compute assisted by computers.
And what's that? Who uses that? Like, what's an example of a style?
You have users like companies who need to build video games.
Yes.
So
actually building the game, not running the game. So they're actually designing the content or
absolutely, it's designing the rendering games, of the rendering everything from characters to environment, etc., etc. You need a lot of compute to do that.
Okay.
And
is that GPU or is that compute?
No, it's GPUs.
Yeah.
Compute and GPUs could be more or less the same, but here I'm talking about GPUs.
Okay.
So GPUs are more parallelized compute. So it's very efficient for that type of workload.
Yes, the rendering side, as in the... Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so at the beginning, NVIDIA was involved in this area.
Okay, so you were involved in NVIDIA.
Absolutely.
Prior to the NVIDIA going.
Yeah, Jensen is my king right now, of course. Based on that, they not pivot, but they saw a very, very interesting demand for that.
Yes.
And in 2020, 2021, they built a little new architecture and a new design called Volta. So they released something called V100.
Okay.
Before that, you got a P100. So a full lineup of new products for AI. And
this is from NVIDIA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So P100s before this. Okay.
Yeah, so you got V100, A100, H100 right now, and we are coming with B200 right now.
Yeah.
And it's a cluster we are building in Paris. 1,000 GPUs.
Oh, just a few.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called more or less large clusters, close to a mega cluster.
Wow.
Because when you need 1,000 GPUs, it's to build a foundation model.
So you're actually training a model when you're building that.
Yeah.
So before we get to that, so you're bouncing along, creating NVIDIA for some rendering companies. AI appears 2022, 2023, somewhere around that. Is it 23? I can't remember now, yeah.
I think it's something like this with GPT-3.
Yes.
Because, of course, they got GPT-1, GPT-2, but it wasn't spread like a massive massive deployment
so the
for
first,
any person.
no customers were really figuring out what to do with it. So a year later, probably, GPT-3, what have you, comes out. Then you start to see demand for GPUs and then GPU as a service.
Absolutely.
So you're sitting there ready to roll because you've actually been building this for a while. You've got your relationships in place. And so all of a sudden people turn up and they're like, time to scale. Is that it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we decide to add new features for that.
Yes.
Something we call AI as a service with API endpoints, capability to deploy any AI models from a Hugging Face, for example. So every open source models are hosted on a Hugging Face.
And you would enable that to be loaded onto your GPUs. And is it only NVIDIA that you run, or do you have options?
No, you have other options like AMD, Intel, and over.
And you provide all of those options?
No, we prefer to be dedicated with NVIDIA.
Got you. So NVIDIA, you're a GPU as a service, NVIDIA, and anyone can go to Hugging Face and download or provision that on your GPUs and run whatever model that they choose. Is that right?
Absolutely.
And are you allowing companies to train on your platforms, or are they using that for post the trained models? They're actually running that through Hugging Face. How does it play out?
Well, they can do both because on our web app you can obviously deploy any models.
Okay.
So you select one model you want to deploy. You click on few parameters and you can run it very efficiently. We have few very interesting features like auto scaling. So for example, if you have demand for 1 or 2 users and it's growing significantly because, I don't know, you got a post on Le Monde or Fox or something like this, and you have a lot of demand on your own platform or own applications, our servers analyze that demand in real time, and it's increasing the number of GPUs automatically.
You'll start provisioning more GPUs in the platform as it starts to push what it requires, and so you'll just start scaling.
Yeah, so you can upscale, but of course downscale if it's necessary, because you don't need specifically to keep that amount of GPUs, because if for any reason, for example, in a weekend, you don't have any traction because you develop something for your company, you don't have that necessity to keep that
running over the weekends and what
absolutely.
have you.
So you can upscale but downscale for any reason you get.
So that's the benefit for the customer. How does that work for you? How do you manage your side? Are you then having other companies take the GPUs when they're not being used, or is it okay to not run for a period because of the compute and power requirements, I guess? Or how do you structure that on your side?
Yeah, we have different strategies. So working with brokers or partners who need specific models we can provide.
Okay.
So for example, we are trying to provide the latest generation with Blackwell. So Blackwell released in Q1 2025.
Yes.
And we have an appetite for this one because previously you got Hopper with H100 and H200. And because it's more efficient and you can get a better efficiency price ratio, you have 3 times more performance with Blackwell for something like 50% of
power,
of cost.
Yes.
So it's
50% of the cost being the power and cooling, or 50% of the cost of the chip itself in comparison?
In terms of rental.
Okay.
Efficiency price ratio, you have something like 2 times more performance.
Okay.
So it's easy to
justify that.
Yeah. Go to customers and say, okay, now we have Blackwell running for inference, so to deploy this type of models, and try it. If that works correctly, you will get the productivity you need and efficiency for your applications you are looking for.
What happens to the older chips then? Now they're not even that old, but they're H100s, H200s. When Blackwell is there, do you keep them? Other customers use them for a different requirement?
You can get over customers using that. For example, if we got older generation, we got A100, and it was something more polyvalent. So it could be more interesting for HPC, for example, because
HPC.
Yeah, HPC.
High performance compute.
Absolutely.
What is that servicing? As in?
For simulation. So scientific simulation. It could be for weather. fluid, mechanic fluid, etc.
You keep those running, the A100s, is that right? And then the use case that's specific to them continues to use them. So it's not like you throw them away or they're useless to you every time. One of the worries I think a lot of investors look at this is like every time I assume you need to raise capital or at least get access to capital to buy these chips. And so you buy them and then a year later Jensen brings out new chips. Does that mean the old chips continue to work? And what you're saying is that you keep the older chips, the use cases or maybe the cost or what have you, the way you charge for them differs to the new chips and it continues to flow through. Is that the theory as to how it all works, or how does it play out in practice?
No, it's totally accurate because you have a release every 16 to 20 months of a new generation.
Yes.
You have to get a yield and a return of your investment as soon as possible.
Yes.
So usually on new generation, you prefer to get a long-term contract and it reassures your financial partners, of course.
Yes,
and,
like a 3-year contract to run on this.
Absolutely.
And is it a 3-year is it truly GPU as a service? So you just scale up, scale down? Or are you saying, I'm going to sell you 100 NVIDIA chips and then you're contracted for that for 3 years? Which way is it like on demand or is it like contract 100 now?
We can do both, and we have a strong demand for on-demand rather than long commitments.
Yes, but you charge a lot more presumably for
absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. So we optimize our revenue, and for our customers, it's more flexible and even more interesting for them because they don't need to
run it for a bit, turn it off, don't have to invest in it
every time.
Yes.
Sometimes they just need to run it for 25, 50 or 75% of the time. It doesn't need necessary to be commit for a full dedicated deployment.
And so where are you based? Where are these chips? Are they only in France?
Yeah, we have 2 clusters. So one in Lyon, a smaller one with a few models from a polyvalent card like A5000, A6000 to H100. And our new clusters built in Paris, so in the east of Paris, with 1,000 GPUs extendable to 6,000. So we have a provisioning of 10 megawatt of capacity.
Jeez,
so
a lot of power.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, entire data centers used to be about 2 or 3 megawatts or 6 megawatts, and you're consuming 10.
Yeah, 10 and 2 rooms. So
Jeez.
The big advantages of this data center, it has large rooms to store this facility. So
you got to cool them, obviously, in these rooms.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to speak about it.
Yeah.
So we decide to go to direct liquid cooling.
Okay.
So we have a facility to
direct to chip liquid cooling.
Absolutely. So it's
you have to explain it.
Yeah, it's going from so it's moving with pipe. So
is that chilled water in a pipe or something? Or?
It's chilled. So you have 2 types of water. One with cold water going to the chips, cooling that chip, going warmer after that, of course, and it's going back on a CDU, so cooling distributing unit, and it's of course a closed loop, so we can optimize what we call
is it water. Your cooling or it's the data center that provides the cooling?
It's all cooling.
Yours?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh wow, so you actually had to go and install your own cooling platform.
Yeah, so we are working with Supermacro, so they got a branch, of course, for servers, but they are working with a new business unit for cooling because it's important right now to get servers, but as well cooling distributing unit to cool everything.
And you think it seems to be playing out that this direct-to-chip is the way that most of these data centers are retrofitting or at least offering, or at least you could build in an existing data center the cooling.
You could do, but it's...
Or it was a brand new data center build for you?
No, we refit this one.
Yes.
So with this data center partner, so we decided to tell them, okay, we need DLC. Are you ready for getting something like 135 kilowatt per cabinet? They told us yes.
They can deliver 135 kilowatts per cabinet.
Yeah, absolutely. So they
need to be able to deliver that power, and then you need to be able to deal with the cooling. Okay. Fascinating.
Yeah, so we
not easy actually.
No, because it's closer to industrial rather than technology on what I did at the beginning.
Yes.
But it's challenging and I like it.
It's going to keep you interested. But it's also Supermicro by the sounds is actually building you procure that from them. They deliver that cooling to the chips.
Yeah, of course. We used their expertise to do everything because they have to validate everything, get approval in terms of what type of water they can put on it, etc., etc. So a close freeway between Supermicro as OEM, us, and data centers to know what we have to do to get this.
And obviously, NVIDIA is also approved.
Of course, they visit that data center 2 times with Supermicro to validate it could support that type of deployment and future deployments as well.
Okay. You said up to 10,000. Is that what it was?
6,000. Yeah.
6,000,
So we designed for 1,000 at the beginning.
Yes.
We could get 1 or 2 customers who need to get everything at the beginning, and they can scale up with their project. So we are speaking with large companies who need that type of cluster.
So are you struggling to access the chips, and is there a supply chain shortage for you, or you are small enough to actually slot between and get access to what you need?
I think it's a chance to be smaller than others.
Yes.
Because we are more flexible, we can improve our process, and if you want, you can talk directly to me and we can do everything possible to do everything.
Get it done.
From NVIDIA, we talk directly with EMEA director to manage if that's possible. Of course, we have up and down and to validate everything. Most of the time, as I told you, financial partners wanted to get something between 2 or 3 years commitment contract.
Fair enough.
And we are in more or less a situation of egg and a chicken. So customer wants everything deployed as soon as possible or even already deployed.
Yes, of course.
And our financial partners say, okay, you need a contract to finance and we can deploy it. So it's complicated to move on that way, but our customers understand that, and we can leverage with our proximity, closer relationship with NVIDIA, Supermicro to move quickly. Because right now it's already set up in San Jose in their HQ, and we can deploy everything as soon as possible.
That's fascinating. And so who are your customers? Are they mainly French companies at the moment trying to keep their data in like sovereign data? I assume that's important for them, or what? How does it play out? What are you seeing?
We have 0% of customers in France.
0%?
Yeah, 60 to 70% are coming from US.
Oh, that's amazing. So why do you think they're coming then, if that's the case?
To expand their deployment from US to Europe, for example.
Is that for what purpose? Though?
For inference mainly.
Okay.
So for example...
so inference is playing out for you. This is... that is a big use case for your chips.
Yeah, and for next years as well, because I think we are in decreasing position in training. We saw a lot of trained models. Of course, we still could increase their efficiency.
Yes.
And many other parameters, etc., etc. But in 1 or 2 years, we will see inference in many use cases, in every layers, in businesses, from chatbot to optimize productivity, to optimize many use cases. And we want to be more and deeply a partner of that.
So if companies are servicing French customers, there might be US companies that are requiring very low latency, fast inference right here. You're a perfect fit.
It's exactly what they are looking for. Yeah. Even if we have European customers and more Middle East customers coming, because French market is very attractive for them with decarbonized energy, with a lot of investment from...
Is it lower cost energy in France? What do you mean by that?
In terms of Western Europe, yes. Of course, we are not competitive with Nordics, but because we are in the center of
latency is key.
Latency between London, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, and Madrid or Barcelona.
Good spot. Okay.
It's a good spot to deploy anything for inference.
Yeah, true. You're right in the center of it all. Yeah. Okay.
So our strategy is to still keep everything in France or in Paris. So we can say, okay, you can train the model, and in the same way, you can deploy everything after that in the same location.
Okay, that's fascinating.
So you don't have specifically to restudy if you need to deploy in another location. You can keep your data. It's the value of your company, your data.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Because it's not moving, it's preferable
to protect it, control it.
And encrypt everything.
And so you've got the GPU component. Presumably you also need some storage, other compute elements right next to it. How have you designed that? How do you figure out what you're investing in from a storage, compute, GPU? How do you make those decisions?
Well, we are partnering with Vast Data. So Vast Data is a storage solution provider.
Yes.
So they are deeply invested in AI, and they bring new features for that.
And you procure the storage, and then they run that software across it, or how does that work?
We put something like API access to deploy compute, and it store everything on this storage solution.
Oh, fascinating. And so how do you charge? Is it per second, per minute, per token?
So we have two types of billing. As you mentioned, we can charge per AI generation, so images, video, seconds of video or token. We can charge per second as well. It's very interesting in terms of
how do you do
auto-scaling.
That's hard to build.
More or less, but we have a few good connectivity with Stripe, and you can more or less connect everything with API. It collects every data, and we got exactly what you are using, and we can charge everything for that.
So you got some smart people working for you? Is that how you built this thing, or did you build this thing?
I built a part of that, but because I wanted to get something better for production way, I prefer to let the team validate last part with our full stack developers and DevOps engineers.
Very cool what you've built. Yeah. It's super exciting. You've landed it at a really good time. I mean, 2020 would have been interesting, and then it exploded in 2023. So what's your limiting factor? What slows you down?
Well,
why aren't you doing what CoreWeave did?
CoreWeave is more attracting a provider for enterprise level company. So they do a lot of work in terms of research, providing the best way to do AI deployment, machine learning deployment, etc., etc. So they put the standard as high as possible to do that.
Yes.
And we aim to go in that direction because they provide not GPU as a commodity, but more as, we provide managed services. So don't get any headache in servers management. I speak as a CoreWeave CoreWeave manager. They manage everything.
Okay.
So you can deploy your own clusters very efficiently. They know exactly what they are doing, and they are backed by NVIDIA, of course.
Of course, yeah.
But this strategy and vision to provide services can keep them above everyone on this market.
Well, they just doubled their market cap last week.
Yeah.
So they're doing well. So this is good for you, presumably.
Yeah, absolutely. It attracts new investors, new actors on this market, and probably they want to go deeply on this area.
Yeah, and so for you, are you just looking for more capital to buy more chips, or are you okay on that side? Or you just need to find more customers to consume the chips?
It's a mix of that because we have a partnership with funds or family offices who can
get you the cash if you need it, but you need to get contracts in place, chicken and egg scenario.
You know everything right now.
Gotcha. So you get the contract, you can get the capital, you can buy the chips from NVIDIA, you can get access to the chips quick enough.
Yeah.
And it's probably because you're not asking for like 1 billion of them. And I think, Jensen is keen to help companies like yours build differentiated sort of GPU clouds or AI clouds, from what I can see, which is good. This is a helpful thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the hyperscalers take all of the demand, all the supply, and then destroy the, then it's very hard to get access. But I don't think this is happening.
No.
You're actually getting access to the chips when you need them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's perfect.
Yeah, and it's helpful to provide a good momentum, for example, when a new model is coming and say, okay, we are more agile, we are not like over hyperscalers, because, for example, AWS, it doesn't want to deploy that for one data centers, but probably something like 20, 30 different data centers. So it's way more complicated than us, and we can be more agile for that.
Okay, so you're constantly being agile. So you're going to deploy Blackwell?
Yeah.
What's next?
Rubin.
Yes. Have you got orders in place? What do you do there?
In mid-2026.
2026,
I'm already discussing with different OEMs and NVIDIA. Of course, it's not released, but it's not possible to order anything.
Yes.
But in a close possibility, it could be B300.
Yes.
They don't know exactly when it will be released, but it could be something between Q4 2025, Q1 2026.
And so there's a lot of, we're a publicly traded company, so I get asked a lot of questions by different investors on all of this space as well. What happens if they fail? So you procure the NVIDIA chip. Are they under maintenance so that if there's a failure with the chip?
Yeah, you have something like 1% failure every year. So, of course, we have a site reliability engineers maintain everything, support from Supermacro to help us replace every part are going to failure. Same for
how long do they last? Or how long are you modeling these chips to last? Is it similar to compute, or is it they burn a bit hotter so they...
It's going to failure sooner because it's very intensive.
Yeah.
But in another way, you can optimize replacement and be sure everything is working correctly. Because if you have one GPU going down and fail, you can impact the whole cluster.
Yes. So they all need to be running
every time.
Yes.
At the most time as possible. It's not easy, or you can say, okay, we provide something like 1, 2, or 3% of our total inventory as spare parts and say, okay, if something is going down, we can not replug, but automatically reprovision a whole server automatically.
Yeah. And so they might be using 100. You've got one goes down. You just reprovision another one for them.
And it's
you
automatically
replace that. They don't even notice it. Well, it would stop the training at that point, but then they would kick it off again.
Yeah, but because you have a technology named checkpoint, it could be going back very efficiently and very quickly.
It's cool.
Based on that.
Sounds like you've built something pretty impressive. And it's scaling, and it's not going to slow down. It's really exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, and we are looking at partners who can assist us for that. For example, Megaport can help us to get pod in other location that we don't want specifically to go.
Yes.
But getting something in Frankfurt, something, for example, in Nordics, etc. You can get a full web of sub 30 millisecond, for example, for inference, and you can spread that across all regions you want to address. Yeah,
we launched our AI exchange, which is what we've been chatting to you about as well. Trying to think, maybe a year ago. We have something like 35 different GPU as a service style providers. They're all different. Everyone's offering a different style of solution or service. But the whole vision for that was to treat... We've been on-ramping clouds for the last 11 years. And so it was to treat an on-ramp to your platform so that any customer in 930 data centers around the world can just get 100 gig connectivity to you from anywhere, actually, in 60 seconds, but only charge for how long they use it for. So if they're going to move a whole heap of data to you, 100 gig for an hour, and then turn it back down or whatever it may be, or spin it up and down. And so what we're finding is lots of companies are on-ramping with us to then access, instead of having to build lots and lots of data centers to try and get closer to their customers, they use the network to take the customer to your data centers, to your environments. We've seen it explode recently. Last year, like, it was slow because I think people were still trying to figure out how to leverage the GPU platforms. It was interesting for you to say, like, zero French companies, a lot of the US. So it's not probably yet fully adopted here in France, or people are slowly figuring out what they want to do with it. The US is, I think, very advanced now. And a year and a half ago, I think they were still trying to figure out what is the use case, how do they leverage the platforms. And I think there's just been so much change. We're seeing inference really start to take off. We're seeing some really interesting companies appear as well, not just NVIDIA, but other chip providers like Grok, and there's a few others that are really interesting that are sort of popping out for this inference story, which is really, really changing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hottest space to be. It's exciting. Yeah. So what next?
Exciting.
What do we do next?
Well, providing a full AI, full stack solution for customers.
Yes.
I hope so.
Okay.
So maybe getting managed services by design. So rather than providing a solution,
you deliver the full service for customers.
Yeah.
So how do customers get a hold of you? How do they find you? Just website? Can they spin it up?
A website, LinkedIn. It's our main possibility to speak with us, and we are trying to create a new community on Discord or Slack.
Do you offer the costs? Is that into some platform that other people can look? Like, how do they find you right now from the US? How are these customers finding you as a GPU as a service provider? Just through a website, or is there
just through our website, because our SEO is in English, so I think it's
perfect? Yeah,
natively going
very cool.
like this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just website. They're finding you and you're growing.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Congratulations. Well, thank you for the partnership, and thank you for what you're doing with us as well. And we would love to see you continue to grow, and we'd love to take out 2,800 customers to get them access to you. We're particularly strong. 60-something% of our revenue is from the United States. And so we're scaling out through Europe. But it's interesting to see that you're building here with 100% of your customers outside of here. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, I think it will change a little bit. But
it will, yeah,
to get something more balanced between Europe and US, etc., because we always see a stronger execution in US, etc. So they are already prepared to move on that way. I went to San Francisco. Every ads are running based on AI. So we saw a large boom there, and it's spreading to Europe more and more.
Yeah, okay. Fascinating. There you go. Well, the future's hot. We appreciate you coming on the pod.
Thank you very much.
And for any of our customers, check them out. It's very cool.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.